Welcome back to Life, Love, and Real Estate, your one-stop shop to help navigate all three of these phases of your life. I am Daniel Palmer. Make sure you do me a huge favor. Listen, watch, follow, share at Life, Love, and Real Estate on Instagram, or I guess no, it's on YouTube, but you can follow me at Daniel Palmer Mortgages on Instagram. You can also follow my much better pod half. What's up, LaCressa? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice to see you. Although I just saw you for a show. But yeah, nice to see you in a different platform.
Very
Yes.
nice to see you as well. What's the best way they can follow you before we just get set up, getting moving on Instagram? You're at
LAC sells ATL on Instagram, LaCressa Morrow. Just type in LaCressa Morrow and I'm sure something will pop up. It's been the same number forever.
There you go. And just like we mentioned earlier, we're back. It's another episode of Life, Love, and Real Estate, helping you navigate those three spheres. I hope you joined our last episode, episode 12, where we talked about equity. We gave a little class, talking about different ways you can make your property work for you. And I hope somebody got inspired to start building their own equity for the tomorrow that they want. So like you mentioned, we got to hang out this weekend, went to a show together, had a great time. Speaking for myself, of course.
Had a great time. It was great to see like so animated, like certain songs you really got into. I loved. So Daniel gifted me a ticket to a show. It's not someone that I'm familiar with, literally never heard their name before, never heard their music. And then when I talk to people that I know, they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to a cool show. So it was nice to be exposed to fans and see how fans react to different songs. And yeah, so it was great. You had a great time. It was nice.
I had a fantastic time. It was wild to I was in the Uber on the way back, and because I am a 25-year-old, 40-year-old person, I didn't want to speak to my Uber driver. So I have my headphones in and I'm bumping music from the concert. And I'm like, wow, I played this album my senior year of college into the ground. And over here, just like, okay, this is kind of like formative Daniel Palmer stuff. So it was a lot of fun for me. I'm glad you got to enjoy it. I'm glad you got to see their farewell tour. But yeah, really good experience, really good excitement, really good time. But we also had time to talk. And of course, we talk and eventually we hit the business. And what I thought was interesting is that with 4 decades in this game between us, we still have the ability to be surprised by things that we see.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, sometimes it's surprises. I mean, it's just a surprise. Ugh. It's a tough.
And it happens all throughout the process. It can happen before the borrower's even going out to look. It can happen during the process. It can happen at closing. It can happen post-closing. You're always going to have something new occur that, necessarily you can't be prepared for. And I know what we're talking about here, life, love, and real estate, how to put yourself in a position for success in all three. But I guess I'm here to tell you, you can do all the planning in the world. As the old Mike Tyson quote goes, plane goes out the window when you get hit in the mouth. And you've got to have the ability to stay flexible and adjustable and be able to move in those spaces in a way that's not going to cost you money, time, or energy in all three facets of your life. And so one of the things
also probably, more than likely it's probably going to cost you money, time, and energy, unfortunately. And so being able to roll with the punches, even when you've done everything correct, even when you've put all of the safety measures in place, even when you've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, things still happen. And sometimes it is the fault of others. Sometimes it's just things that happen, right? And so just know, so that's the main thing. You can do everything right. And things are still going to come along. But that's just life, though. Isn't that life?
So that was one of the things, as I was making my notes, I was like, this is something again, every time we do this, LaCressa ends up being my mini therapist. And I was one of those, I remain one of those type A, I can control everything people. My dad told me a thing when I was growing up that has stuck with me through everything. It's the 7 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. And I kind of went exactly that. The face you're making is the face I'm getting to. But for my life, it was like, if I can control all these variables and everything's going to be fine and I've got my hands around it all. And it took years for me to learn, not just in life, not just in love, but also in real estate, that no matter how prepared I could be, things are going to change because there's variables you can't account for.
You're not in control, right? You're in control of the things that you can control.
Right.
Period. It's really like, I find it fascinating that, I mean, we always do this, but life lessons are really simple. How they play out in your life is not simple. How you receive them is not simple. How you react to them is not simple. But the words are pretty simple. It's just, you're not in control. Like, you're in control of so many little aspects of things, but overall, you're not in control. And you just have to be able to embrace that. And I think the more you embrace that, the more how life changes doesn't hit you so hard, because it's going to change. And yeah, awesome. And also, can we just say that that's just dad stuff too? Seriously. And just, yeah, right. And the history and the time period in which our dads are, like, your dad is what, 8? What did you say your dad is?
83.
Right. So that was my dad, right? Yeah. If my dad was still living, he would have been 83, 84, right? And so that's how they were taught. That's what helped them survive during the time in which they were our age. And we get to navigate through life so much differently now with a lot more freedoms, and we're still surviving, but it's just on a different level. So yeah, you can't have everything figured out. But you can do the work, right? What he said generally does work too, right? You be prepared for the things that you say you want to do. That is great. But you also got to roll with the punches when shit just pops up.
Because rigidity solves nothing. It's saying, well, this didn't go according to plan, so now it's got to stop. No. You got to roll with that punch and go to the next one.
It's a sign it wasn't supposed to be, right? There are so many people who take things, difficulty, as signs of them not supposed to do it, not as shit that you're not comfortable with doing is difficult. Like, that's just it. It is difficult. It's not a sign you're not supposed to do it. It's just, it's difficult. Adjust, move forward.
And I think a lot of people have kind of bought into the, if it's meant to be, it'll be easy. And I'm like, no, that's not how life works. That's not how any of this works. Because like you said, sometimes that resistance, that temporary discomfort is what's going to lead you to finding the next thing. Is what's going to lead you to the path that's in front of you. I always say, if the easy way, if the shortcut worked, it'd be called the way. There's a reason why people look for shortcuts, because they're afraid of that work, afraid of that struggle, afraid of that challenge. And I think that talking to you and continually having to like reevaluate the stuff from a consumer point of view reminds me that the place that you and I have landed between our 40 years in this business together is not one that did not come without challenge or pushing or working. It was not just, it was a path and here I am. That was never the journey. Yeah,
the path wasn't easy. It was the path. I learned a lot. There's some lessons I probably could have learned a little bit sooner, but at the same time, they are what they are. Just to kind of talk about this in a sense, like, I had an agent text me at the end of last week. Super excited, client super excited. They're ready to get pre-approved and the development that I'm setting. And there's like steps that you have to go, right? They've reached out to a lender. They've sent information to the lender. The lender hasn't been responsive. It's been like a week, maybe like 9-7 days, whatever, right? But they've had the paperwork. Look at your face. They have the paperwork and everything. And so she's calling me like, hey, my client's really excited. They really want to move forward. This lender is not responding. What can you do? And I'm like, I can't make her respond. That's number one. We're in two different lanes. Separately, have your client choose someone else. Like, it's really that simple. Choose someone else. Well, she's already gathered all the paperwork. Then great. That makes it easier for her to send it to someone else. And she's like, well, my client is looking at this as a sign that maybe it's just not her time to buy. And I was like, okay, so what kind of conversations have you had? So now I'm like talking to this agent, like I'm coaching this agent to coach their buyer through the process. And she's like, well, I've been telling her the same thing, then she's not listening to me. Can you send a text message basically saying everything that I've just said, but you've just said to me, and maybe that'll push her over the edge to move to another lender and not see this as a sign that she's not supposed to buy a home. And I'm like, wait, what? There's a tendency for us when we are scared to look for the littlest sign to say this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Even though I've been thinking about this thing for 10 months, 2 years, whatever it is, that one little sign that things don't go as smoothly as I want it to be or as I expect it to be, then that's the reason for me not to do it. The fragility that's around people and the things that they say that they want and how they want to pursue them is mind boggling. They just wanted to be easy. And life isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. I don't know.
I always tell, and I always go back to this story, and I've told on this podcast before about how meeting Susan, but I will say this. When we met, it was easy. It was simple. Then 6 months later, she got that job in Philly. And it became really hard. It became, do I uproot my life? Do I quit this new job I just started and follow this woman I've barely met to a city I hate? And let's be very clear, going into this move, I hated Philadelphia. Oh, buddy. I had to talk.
But you loved her more.
That's what it was. It was
more, right?
The possibility was greater than my fear, was greater than my discomfort. The possibility of what could be, an unpromised future. Like it was, I was 27, 28. I'd been a single person for a while. Like I knew what that was. I knew what I was leaving. I was very aware of the challenge of what I was saying goodbye to. Mm-hmm. And to say, let me take this leap. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And spoilers, it worked. But like it might not have. And so, but to take the chance was hard. It was a decision. It was we're gonna cancel this lease. We just signed a lease on a place. We canceled that lease, paid money for that. I quit my new job I just started at Wells Fargo. I moved to Philadelphia. We stayed in corporate housing. I had no job. The first 3 weeks for Daniel every day. We're going to interview. We're going to talk to these mortgage companies. Who needs a processor? And it worked out. It was worth it. It was hard, but it was worth it. And that's kind of the life love side of what I want to talk about today, because there are 3 kind of buckets I put this conversation into for my consumers out there who want to enter the real estate space. There's going to be things you can keep an eye on with your team. That's going to be me, LaCressa, your inspectors, the people you trust, your accountant. I don't know what your circle looks like, your insurance provider. We're going to be part of your team. They're going to work together to keep an eye on things within that. The next sphere is things you and yourself need to be proactive about, because LaCressa and I can, she just gave a great example. Your team can give you all the energy, all the positive affirmation, all the resources in the world. If you're not willing to take extra steps for yourself, it speaks more about what you really want and how easily you're willing to say no to it. And the last one, the one we're going to spend a little bit of time at the end, things that come out of left field. Because guess what? You don't know what you don't know. But you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So today we're going to talk about being ready with those 7 P's in mind. LaCressa, I want to talk first about things we would advise a client to keep an eye on alongside your team. And I'll get it started. First things first, and LaCressa preaches on this a lot, and I have stolen it and made it part of my sales process, is be definitive about what you want out of your transaction. Now, what do I mean by that? So when I'm talking to a client, there's 2 things that I, being the money nerd, are going to focus on. Is your biggest concern the cash out of your pocket at closing or the cash out of your pocket every month? So when I'm talking to someone and I say, hey, so right now, what are you paying a month in rent? And they'll tell me a number and I say, great. When you get to the end of the month, how does that number feel? Do you feel overwhelmed by that number? Is it a number you feel comfortable with? Is it a number you're like, oh, this is light work. I don't even think about it. That gives me a better gauge than to say, I want a $600,000 house. Well, cool. What does that translate? What do you think you're saying to me? What does that translate for you into an actual monthly commitment? Or are you someone who that's not really a concern, but you do want to keep an eye on your upfront initial investment? Then we're talking about different loan options, different down payment assistance programs, different ways to get into your home so that then you can use that home as a vehicle or avenue to help build greater wealth. I think those are good starting points from a lending perspective, because as all-encompassing as all this is, my corner of the world in it is very small. It's the money you have and the money you want to spend. And that's where I'm going to come to you first and say, hey, we can work together on this. And I can say, you say, how much can I get? And I can give you a maxed out pre-approval letter. But I'm going to be asking, well, you told me earlier that this number in your monthly payment's a little tight. Well, you qualify for more. And by tight, I don't mean like you look at your books and you're like, well, I can afford this. I mean, how do you feel? Because like you mentioned,
numbers aren't feelings.
Well, you mentioned yesterday you did a little retail therapy.
Yeah.
I don't do that. that's not part of my, that's not how I'm structured.
Yeah.
I don't, because I was also, hi mom, I know you're listening. It all worked. It all stuck. You got me. You broke me. You won. I don't spend unless it's like a real, I have to go through like several matrices of like need, want, desire versus like it is, I'm a broken person in that sense. But like I do know that when I spend money and I don't think I needed to spend it, I will feel a kind of way about it.
Oh, that's interesting. I worked through that for myself.
I haven't.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying that you have
no,
I'm saying I had to personally work through that for myself.
Yeah.
I am great. I'm a giver, right? So spending money on other people is not that big of a deal to me. I used to feel guilt about spending money on myself.
That's right.
And I did not recognize that I work hard to spend money on myself, right? And I shouldn't feel guilty about it. And so, yeah, I had to work through that. And so it doesn't happen often, but when I'm feeling it and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, also, I mean, what kind of clothes do you need? You're more of a sneakerhead anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're like, I need that new fresh shirt. Like it's all about the sneakers for you. And that shit is like, $200 to $500. That's a whole different ballgame to me going to go get a cute little outfit.
Right.
Not comparing money, but men's wear is different than women's wear in that sense, right? So I could do a little affordable retail therapy and not go crazy and still feel like I did some things.
And the way Susan does it is she will go to those what are they? I am blanking right now. Estate sales. We live in a great older community where she'll be like, Matthew and I go into an estate sale. And she'll come back with a bunch of stuff and like clothes and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's very nice, very sweet. And then like 3 days later, I'll be like, that's a new plant. She goes, yeah, I know it's not. Don't worry about that. And I'm like, wait, is that rug new? She's like, I don't worry about that. And I'm like, wait, I feel like I should have asked more questions when you came back in the house. I saw what you showed me. This is completely different.
Yeah. That's so funny. I love that. So yeah, no, I'm glad that you talked to them about like, how did these numbers feel to you? Because at the end of the day, as much as we like to be like numbers are just numbers, they're not. They play a part in your life. It helps you feel like you are drowning or you can build. I don't have any money to put aside for savings because everything I do goes to my way of living.
Right.
That's not comfortable. It doesn't make people want to buy a home if they're still feeling tight. So I think that is a really beautiful approach to that. And funny enough that you start off with feelings and then I'm going to go to the numbers. And so even though we have in opposite places where feelings end up playing a part in the process for me, it starts out with the numbers for me. And then for you, it's like, how do those numbers feel? And I love that beautiful combination because the numbers have to feel good at the end of the day. Right. It's not about the $400,000 unless that's just a status thing for you or the $500,000 or the $1 million. It's about what's really affordable for you. And so I start with the numbers first, and then I go to needs and wants, and we build from there, and location and desire and all of that stuff. But I really thankful that you talk about feelings, and not every lender cares how the numbers feel. They're just like, do the numbers work? And how they work and how they feel are two different things.
They really are. They really are. You get the people who I've had clients who their debt to income, I'm like, buddy, you can buy 3 of these. What do you want? And they're like, wow, we're looking to spend less than X a month. And in my head, I'm like, well, that is either, maybe you need to see my therapist, or you've got other, and you don't know everyone's full story. You know what they're working with, who's sending money home. You don't know who's doing what. And so that's why I don't like to assume that like, I saw your bottom line, so I know your life. Let's have a conversation to really identify what these pressure points are going to be to try to avoid them going forward. So for you start with the numbers. And I think that's, first of all, that's why I like working with you, is because I always get someone in that initial conversation who's at least in that mindset. I don't have to bring them to that mindset. They've already had these conversations. Once you've gotten through the number side of it, how would you advise a client to say, okay, because a lot of people, when they start this process, I know you've seen it more than I do, they don't know what they even really want. They don't even know what they're really looking for. They know what they've had. They know what they've seen. They know what other people have. How do you get them to dial into kind of what their actual desires are?
I go off of needs, and that's why I go off of needs first. What do you need? Right? Because people love to tell you what they want.
Right.
We all can make a whole list of things that we want in life. Are we willing to work for those? Do we have the ability to get them? Totally different answers, right? So at the end of the day, to be honest with you, what you want, I don't really care right now. I need to know what you need, and then we will get you what you want, especially if this is your first one, right? If this is your first rodeo, we're focusing on needs. If you only need this amount of space or this amount of commute or this, whatever that is for you, that's what we're working with. I'm not your fairy godmother. I'm not freaking Santa Claus. I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself in the sense of giving you all your hearts and desires.
Yeah.
You have to be ready, willing, and able. So let's talk about needs and let's talk about lifestyle. Because generally speaking, you know me, I say this over and over again. You're either maintaining the lifestyle that you have or you're working for the lifestyle that you want. I'm going to focus on the lifestyle that you kind of have because that's probably what you're going to be doing over the next couple of years. Your pay is going to be your pay. If you didn't cook in your apartment, you ain't cooking in your house. So the need for a big open kitchen for your new catering career makes no damn sense, and you've never baked a damn cupcake. Like, stop playing with me. I'm a grown person who's seen people go through life. I don't know everything, but I pay a lot of attention. I think that that's my superpower. I pay probably too much attention sometimes. So let's not play games. Figure out what you need. And if you haven't done a deep dive to say, this is what I need, then are you really ready? That's where I am. That's where I start.
I need y'all to focus on her paying attention. A+ people watcher, LaCressa Morrow. A+ people watcher. Like, watching people with her, worlds of entertainment.
Good time.
Great time. I will say this. I think that the thing that you can keep an eye on with your team that we're going to provide with you is going to be perspective. Like, one of the things LaCressa mentioned was, if this is your first home, because a lot of people come into that first transaction wanting to get the home that they saw their parents have. They're like, oh, they don't recognize that their parents worked 30 years of owning homes to get to that home. So I think that having that perspective, the long game, where we say, we're not selling you a house for forever. We're selling you the house that you need to get into, to start the equity cycle, to start the building to something else, to start the path to the house that you want your kids to remember you in. That, I don't remember the ranch I lived off in Decatur. You're right, because you were never there, or you were a baby, or you didn't form any formative memories there. You're going to remember the house that you probably grew up, like, graduated high school from. That's going to be the one that's a real impactful one. And so when you come into this avenue, your brain is set on an endpoint that you haven't yet earned. And so our perspective is going to give you the ability to earn that endpoint.
Yeah. Also, I would say on top of that too, in being in this business for a long time, right? Like, I always say, like, buyers are liars. You guys don't intentionally lie. Do you know what I mean? You're not like psychopaths. You're not whatever. But there are things that you say that you want, and then we get you in the reality of it, and you don't want it. You say that you needed it, and we get it in front of you. It wasn't what you really needed. It's what you thought you needed. It's what you thought you wanted. And so I suggest you have someone that you're working with that is going to challenge you in a sense. Really say, so as a single person, right? Like, I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Why? Are you dating someone? Do you have children? What are you using the bedrooms for? Oh, I'm going to have a couple guest spaces. How often do you have guests? When's the last time someone hung out at your house, spent the night at your house for a weekend? Oh, my cousin came last year. Okay, so you're buying 2 extra bedrooms for a life that you think you're going to have, but you don't. Because I come from a family where I have 32 first cousins. My mom is one of 13. I've never had my parents in my 20s and my 30s stay anywhere but with me in a 1-bedroom apartment. If people want to stay with you, they're going to stay with you. If you want them to stay with you, you're going to make space for them, right? So think about the life that you actually live when it comes to buying space, because at the end of the day, you're buying space. So buy the space that you need. Now, if you are engaged and you're going to be building a family or whatever those things are, or I need a studio, just make it make sense to me. If it makes sense to me, then I can help you find it. But I'm going to question if it even makes sense to you, because sometimes the things that we say we want, we've never actually said it out loud to hear it come out of our mouth. Does that make sense? Have you been in that situation where you like, I really want this, and then you said it out loud and you're like, girl, you being crazy. You don't really want that. Like, it's just the first time I said it out loud. So I'm going to challenge you. Work with someone who's going to challenge you a little bit. Work with someone who's going to throw a few curveballs in. Work with someone who's going to educate you outside of the box that you know, because I promise you, your box is smaller than our wealth of knowledge. And we can throw some things in there that you've never thought about before that will open up a whole new way of you thinking about your life and how you want to move forward.
And I can already hear it. There's someone listening and watching. First of all, thanks for watching. Second of all, they're saying to themselves, I know what I want. Cool. Maybe you want someone who's going to take your order and deliver it to you.
I'm not an order taker like that.
I don't
take. I might not be your person. I'm just saying.
I want to make that very clear. Like,
I might not be your person.
You've got to know what you want, but know that in any time you're dealing with myself or LaCressa, those challenging points aren't to discredit you. They're to help clarify what's actually important. So that in 5 years or in 3 years or in 2 years or in 6 months, you're not saying, man, I wish someone had told me about X, Y, and Z. Man, I wish someone had warned me about X, Y, and Z. Well, you didn't want that. You want an order taker. Because as your team, our job is to make you I apologize. I'm a football player. Football season's almost here. Like I am so I brainwashed. So when Susan and I met, she was like, I was like, hey, we're watching football on Saturday with a bunch of the guys. She goes, wait, do people actually do that? I go, what do you mean? She goes, I thought that was something that was just like a trope on television. She was the artsy kid from Warner Robins who didn't like football, who was like, you guys actually.
Can we just pause there? She's from Warner Robins. Warner Robins is such a quintessential football town. One of my best friends still drives home to go to high school Warner Robins games when he happens to be in town. His 80-year-old parents go to the Friday night games every Friday night to Northside. Like, she's from it.
Her daddy with Northside. That's how I knew about Aaron Murray before he even showed up. But I'll say this. Because she was the artsy kid. She was the counterculture kid in that environment. So she went to SCAD. Like, she left Warner Robins and went to SCAD Atlanta campus. Like, she purposely had shunned this thing. So when we meet, she was like, football. And now she's like, Matthew, we're watching football on a couple Saturdays. I'm like, brainwashing works, kids. It truly does.
I was a football wife when I was married. And then for a bit, yeah. So no, actually, I was more of a football. I was really into it, or was around it, right?
Yeah.
When we were dating and things like that, right? To be a good girlfriend. And then once we got married, he's like, come watch a game. And I was like, I'm a wife now. I ain't got to do that. Like,
do that anymore.
Boys, like,
I brought her in with stories. I brought her in with like large. I was like, here are the big ideas about football. Here's why it's cool. I'm a salesman. So
you are a salesman.
But I brought that up to say this: the job of a coach is to put his players in the best position possible to succeed. That's our job as your team, to put you in the best position possible to succeed. Now, when toe meets leather, God, I'm boring. When toe meets leather, the players. You've never heard it? Fantastic. Brand new. I just made it up. When that happens, you, as a player, you've got to execute and do things on your own on the field. So that's where I want to take to our second silo here. Things you've got to take care of, because I'm going to take care of your money. LaCressa's going to make sure you're looking at what you want to look at. But there's going to come a point when you've got to take some onus and ownership over this entire process. So,
I can tell you really simple. Submit the information when they ask you to. You can't ask for hundreds of thousands of dollars and not have to submit paperwork. Ooh, you might have to submit it a second time. I don't care. Submit the paperwork if you want hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do your taxes. Continue to pay your bills. Don't go get a new car or furniture for a home that you haven't even bought yet.
She does still on the notes.
What else?
I got one.
Go ahead.
When you're under contract, go to the house. Drive by the house, different times of day, different times of night. When it rains, go check out your property you're trying to buy.
On the
Some
weekend?
things on the weekend. Guess what? Your agent, this is a tough one. Your agent might have other clients.
Crazy.
Guys,
Crazy.
I know this is gonna
Pull your own client statistics. You know who doesn't have kids? Me. You know who most of my friends don't have? Kids. Do you know if there's Chesters in my neighborhood? Absolutely not, because it doesn't affect me. The things that are going to affect you, do research on. Show up for your inspection. Why? Because it's your house. Mm-hmm. And if I happen to show up for your inspection, every question that you ask me, go ask the inspector. I'm going to stay in my marketing and sales lane. Daniel's going to stay in his numbers lane. If you want to know something about how your house functions, talk to the inspector. I can tell you about situations that have arisen. I can try to help you prevent and have some protection with things that I negotiate in the deal. But talk to the people that you're supposed to talk to. Stop hiding from things in order to get you the best information possible, because it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about the cash to close. Do I know where my emergency shutoff valve? You know what? I don't know. And I'm not going to figure it out for you. It's your home. People act like they don't have to take responsibility for the things that they do and say that they want, and they want it to be easy. And then also, when you close on your home and something happens, you got to figure out how to fix it. You got to figure out who to call. You got to have vendors. We're here, but it is your problem. Like, you made a choice to buy a house and things come up in housing, even when they're brand new.
Some would say especially. I will say this. Oh, I lost power for a second there. We're coming back. There we go. All right. I will say this. It is super not common, but like you see it happen often enough. What is happening with there we go. You see it happen often enough to where people will say, oh, I didn't know about this, or I didn't know about that. Our job is to put it in front of you, whether you're on the buy side, sell side, whether it's a refinance transaction, we're going to provide the information. You've got to take the onus to put yourself into that information and come back with questions. Hey, I noticed this wasn't included. Great question to ask. Let's ask more about it. Hey, this fee wasn't disclosed, and so now what happens? Hey, that's a great question. Let's get in front of it beforehand, because are things going to happen in every transaction? Of course they are. No one likes bad news. Everyone hates surprises way more. So if you can take that onus and ownership, like LaCressa said, this is your transaction. This is something that you have chosen to engage in, whether on the buy side or sell side. You've got to take a level of ownership to make sure this all gets accomplished. Everyone invested is invested. Look, we are salespeople. We close, we eat. We don't. That's how it works. But we don't close. You don't have a house.
Yeah.
You've got to be plugged in.
There are humans in this process. So just as we're going to be giving you a lot of grace, you might want to give some people some grace as well. Can we talk about that? Like, you might have called Daniel at 6:00 on a Friday night, and he might not get back to you until a Sunday or a Monday, which is also doesn't change anything in your life if you don't get that answer immediately. There are things that you may have to wait on. There are things that you might have to give somebody grace to. There are other things going on in people's lives outside of your transaction. Can we talk about that? Everything isn't about you in this moment because you're making a big decision in your life. I got 5 other clients who are also making very big decisions. And I'm not saying that you're not important, and I'm not saying your questions aren't valuable, but you are not the most important thing that is going on at this time. So please keep that into perspective as well. You're going to mess up a little bit. They might mess up a little bit. I was talking to a guy who's like, I might have to get another agent. And I said, why is that? He said, well, I want to get as much down payment assistance as possible. And I said, that ain't your agent's fault. Has your agent provided you with information? Yeah. Do you trust your agent? Yeah. But you about to give up on someone that you trust and has shown up for you because you think that you're not getting what you want, but you haven't even been curious to fully ask for what you want. That ain't fair. Like, ask for what you want, but also do some investigation. The Google box is out there for everyone. And I had to tell him some agents don't know because they haven't been exposed to them because they didn't have clients who needed this type of assistance. And they learn about it as you are learning about it, because this is all a learning process for all of us. It doesn't take away their trust. It doesn't take away their value. We're just all being exposed to something new. Daniel and I get exposed to new things all the time, and we've been in the business for 20 years. We're so easily to give up on people because we're not getting what we want when we want it at the instant that we need it. I am not connected to an Apple Watch, and I'm not looking at my email every 2 seconds. I try to be present with the people that I'm present with, which means my phone is put aside. So I'm going to miss your phone call, but I'm going to get back to you. Or I might get your phone call immediately. Give people time. The calling, the texting, the email, all within 5 minutes, and now they're not being responsive. It's freaking ridiculous. Sorry, I'm in a mood today.
No, you're not wrong at all. It's, and I think that that's something that we could all use is the grace that you would want, you would also expect to be given. And you and I are wired differently, where we don't give ourselves enough grace. We hold ourselves to a standard where it's like, oh, I should have done X, Y, and Z. And we've had to learn that not everyone's wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
And two, more people would rather point outwards and look inwards. And so when we talk about this stuff, we talk about, it's not about a lack of desire to help. It's the fact that we literally, even if desire was there, we don't have enough time to do everything for everyone. So when someone says, hey, I know I haven't filled an application yet, we've never met before, what are your rates today? I'll say to them, hey, great question. I'm glad you're asking. You can find a national average conforming rates at, and I give them the website. And I say, if you'd like to find a specific rate for your situation, I would love to sit down and do a conversation, fill out an application, and figure out how I can best serve you. But I'm not a rate generator. I'm not. I can't be.
Why are you not? You've been doing this for 20 years. What is the point of you being in the business for 20 years, Daniel, if you can't spit out rates?
It's when I've had a client like that before, and I may have told this on the podcast before, so forgive me. I've had, during a lock conversation, I've opened up rate lock next to them on a Zoom. I said, look, you can watch the rates change. We've talked for 20 minutes. They've changed twice. You tell me. Oh, I didn't know that. Great. That's why I don't want to lie to people and say, here's our rate today. It doesn't benefit anyone, because then either I've quoted something I can't back up and I become the guy who lied to you about a rate. So for me, it is more advantageous to say, hey, here's a national average right now based on a certain number of assumptions. Let's have a conversation about your situation. That's not me saying, I'm not going to tell you. That's not me hiding my hand. That's not me giving you back. That's me saying, let's do something that's particular to you and tailored to your situation, as opposed to a number that you're going to forget and only in comparison to the number you got from someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so
None
nice.
Look, coaches. We're coaches. We put you in position to win. You're the players. At a certain point, you've got to go out there and win. But the third silo is the one I want to talk about the most, because there's stuff that we can't anticipate, that you can't prepare for, that are going to throw you into a tizzy. LaCressa, you said something earlier. When things happen and it's a problem, it can't be, well, who's going to solve it for me? Because at a certain point, you've got to solve that problem. I wish I'd have been told. You weren't told. I wish I'd have known. You didn't know. No one knew. So now what? Football analogy again. We were playing Harvard, junior year.
So fancy.
And we threw an interception because we're Columbia. And I'm covering the interception, and I get laid out. I saw it later on film. I got my wig rocketed. My next clear memory is being on the bench, turning to my left tackle, Matt Barsamian, and saying, why is coach yelling at me? He says, you missed a block. You missed a block on ISO. I said, my last memory was the interception. He said, that was 2 series ago. And I said, we didn't have this conversation. So a thing happened that I couldn't foresee. Daniel probably got a concussion on that play. My solution was, don't tell anyone. Those aren't good solutions. But I wanted to keep playing. My goal was to not get taken off the field. So my response was, how do I need to do to not get taken off the field? When you're in your home and you've closed and you've gotten your closing cookies from me, and you've gotten your gift from LaCressa, and everybody's happy, 3 months, 6 months, a year, something is going to happen. I don't say this to dissuade you from buying a home. I'm telling you this so you're informed. And you can't say Daniel lied to you. Something's going to happen. And your natural instinct is going to say, whose fault is this? And a lot of times, spoilers, there's no one to blame.
Yeah.
You've got to use the resources in front of you. Like LaCressa said, we are a resource. We are not going to solve your problem for you. You can call me and say, hey, Daniel, do you know a good tree guy in this area? I say, as a matter of fact, I do. Or I'll say, I don't, but I know who to ask. Wait for me for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to do everything because we're not monsters. Like we're not going to be cold, unfeeling automatons. Like you don't have a house to sell, click. But what we will do is say, I've got 15 minutes to run this down for a client who I helped in the past.
Yeah.
And help them succeed in this trying time. What we're not going to do is say, let me take it over for you. I got the mediation guy I know that you talk to. Here's I've already done an introduction for you at City. No. We are a resource hub at best to get you the places you need to go, but we're not going to carry you, and we can't.
And also, there's just maintenance involved, right? Can we be clear too that yeah, there are some things that definitely maybe someone was supposed to do and didn't do, for sure. That is something to hold someone accountable for. But once you get into the house, now you got to work in the house, right? You got to change your filter monthly or quarterly, because if not, your HVAC might not last as long as you want it to do. Might cause your lines to freeze because of the way that you're doing things. There are certain things that you're going to have to learn how to do in your home or pay someone to do in your home. And I know that getting the home is the big prize, but that's where it begins. I got it. Now I have to maintain it. I resold a home, and that guy didn't do anything from the time he bought the house until the time he sold it 3 years later. You could tell by the vents that hadn't been cleaned with 5 inches of dust on there to but you can tell.
Yeah.
Right? It devalues your stuff that you don't maintain. And so there are things you're going to have to do. You need someone to clean out your gutters. You need someone to cut back tree limbs. You need someone to maintain your grass if you have grass, or maintain your patio if you have a patio or a deck. There are things that are your responsibility outside of paying the mortgage so that the state or the lender doesn't come back and take your property.
And there are going to be things that you would like to blame someone else for, but you can't because there's no time. It has to get fixed. I've told you this story offline. We moved into the home I'm recording in right now. There is a bathroom in our first floor that we kept getting a water spot over in the bathroom, and we couldn't figure it out. We're like, is there a leak upstairs? What's the problem? We had plumbers out, and this all costs money. We had plumbers out. We had the home warranty out. We had everything out. We're trying to figure out what it was. And I've told you who I bought my home from, and we've laughed about the people who did the flip. But what they had done after 3 or 4 plumbing visits is we had the plumber go to the basement and say, will you go from here and tell me what the problem is? They had plastered over a vent.
I'm not laughing at you.
I know you're not. It's fine. It's far enough away now where I can kind of laugh about it.
I just saw the breath that you took.
I
was laughing out because it still just brings it up. I get it.
LaCressa, it's such a stupid problem to have. But it was definitely a problem. And it was a problem I couldn't depend on anyone else to solve. And it took time and money and energy. But damn it, there's a vent in that bathroom now. And so what I would say, to echo what you said, the closing table, the cookies, the gifts, the signatures, that's not the end of anything. That's the beginning of something new. It's the beginning of your building of equity. It's the beginning of you investing in yourself. But more importantly, it's the beginning of you versus the cosmic force known as entropy. The home you're in wants to return to the ground. Your job is to stop it for 30 years or how long you live there. Like that's, I joke about that, but it's very true. Go take a physics 101. You'll learn about entropy. Oh, Daniel was right. That's fine. Take the class, audit it online, whatever it takes. Entropy is a real thing. Your home is from the earth. It wants to return where it came from. You've got to fight it at every turn. And so there's going to be times where like, hey, yeah, it's going to be easy fixes. Go mow your lawn. That's a great way to clear your mind, have a cold beer, enjoy the outside. There's going to be times where it's, why is this leak keep happening in my ceiling? It's going to drive you insane, and you don't know what to do. But the only thing you can do is to keep moving forward. The second you decide it's too big or too hard or no one's helping me, it's just going to get way worse.
Yeah. And also, can I just say water finds a way? So anytime you've had any issues with water, can I just give you a few little maintenance tips? Please pay attention to your grout in your bathrooms, especially around your showers, and pay attention to the grout where, excuse me, depending on how your kitchen is laid out, where your sink backs up to your wall, anywhere where water can spread and find a way, pay attention to your grout. Because I found you, if your grout starts cracking and water overflows, it's going to find its way down your walls and all kinds of places, because water always finds a way. You cannot ignore water. If you see a tiny spot, figure out where the hell the spot's coming from. Because once you see the spot, you're going to realize that it's been coming down for a minute before you even see the spot. Before the spot turns brown and yellow and black, it was there for a minute. So you're already behind the curve when you see something with water. Be very investigated and do not ignore it, because that is the one thing that will really be very costly the more you ignore it.
That's it, guys. Things you want to look at, things you can look out for, and things you just got to accept in the home buying process. It was a great ride. Look, if that's not life, love, and real estate, I don't know what is. I'm straight line in any of them. You got to take some turns. You got to stay flexible. That map's going to work as long as it works, and then you've got to figure it out on your own. LaCressa, thanks for doing this with me again. Tell everyone where they can find you and follow you and learn more about the properties and services you provide.
LaCressa Morrow. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I think Annie, I'm sure, has me on TikTok as well. So LAC Sales ATL is my Instagram handle. With KW in town. So reach out, call, tell us people about us, listen to us. We have funny things to say.
Funny and insightful. Listen, watch. I'll take funny. Listen, watch, share. Tell someone you know who's entering their home ownership journey, or has been a homeowner, or wants to be a homeowner. Give us a listen so that they can plot out their path successfully and protect themselves from variables that they cannot control. Daniel Palmer Mortgage on Instagram and on Facebook. Make sure you follow me there. Make sure you like and subscribe our posts. And we'll be back in 2 more weeks with more news. And I'm going to go check the grout around every water surface in my house right now.
I've had water issues for the last couple of years. It sucks. Have a great day, great week whenever you catch us. We'll see you next time.
See you guys soon.